Good day, welcome back. This is the next video in my series on World Chess Championship blunders, and we have moved along to 2006, which is the unification match between Kramnik and Topalov. Although the unification itself is kind of a never-ending saga, as we'll find out over the next few World Chess Championships. Bit of the background: Kramnik was the classical World Chess Champion. He'd beaten Kasparov in 2001 and then Liko in 2004. And Topalov is the FIDE World Chess Champion. You can see it there. He won the San Luis tournament in 2005. Of course, that's sort of the split. And this match was organised to try and sort of stick them back together. Although then there was a tournament after that to stick it back together, and then there was another match to stick it back together. It seemed to be the way it all panned out. Anyway, so in this match, you can see the score there, 6-6. It was a draw. Kramnik won in the tiebreaks and retained his title. The thing which this is kind of famous for is the whole toilet gate saga, which Topalov and his manager accusing Kramnik of cheating. And then, although the match score was 6-6, one of those was a forfeit by Kramnik, who was obviously pissed off about the accusations. I won't go into that too much, although it's kind of interesting that even back then it was Ken Regan who was doing the analysis of was there any evidence of cheating or whatever, right? What we're going to look at today, let's go to the, close that down. You can see there are two games we're going to look at. There's the match score. You can see Kramnik got ahead early, games 1 and games 2, and then game 5 was the forfeit. That was the sort of catch up by Topalov, and then towards the end, was getting quite interesting, and it was even the last few games and headed for tie breaks. And we're going to look at game 1, which is error by Topalov, and then game 2, you'll be absolutely just a shocking blunder by both players. I mean, obviously, you think about the pressure and the time trouble, those sorts of things, right? And certainly, we've got another 5-star blunder out of it because of the magnitude of the blunder by both sides. Okay, so let's move on then to game number 1. Position here, you can see on the chart that was actually fairly steady, and then Topalov made a sort of a end game mistake at this point, and he had a draw in the bag, and he ended up losing the game. Let's just have a look at the position, see what you would do in it. Now just quickly go through the lane you should have played, which is basically you grab that F pawn. So let's play through that. There's a few possibilities here, so let's go knight takes F2. The logical thing to do is to attack that knight with the king. And the trick here, you support your very powerful pawn on F3. Now if white takes the knight off, not really going to win if he doesn't do that. Check. And you can see the problem here is that there's a few possibilities. So go through them one by one. King G3, check. And white's actually going to lose because he'll have to give up his rook for that pawn. It doesn't work very well. And then let's if the king ever goes there, you're going to check. You can't run across. You just think you can't run across because the pawn will queen. So basically, you end up with a perpetual check. So that was the position here. Knight takes F2 was a drawing resource. But what Topalov played was F5. I mean, it also makes sense, supporting the powerful knight on E4, but that drops the E5 pawn, which was unnecessary. And now white's got a big edge. I mean, black can still go for the F2 pawn. She doesn't get it, and now the F3 pawn drops. So white ends up 2 pawns up in this line. Continue a little bit. Just quickly check. That shielded the attack on the F2 pawn. And then Topalov resigned, 2 pawns down. He's not going to be able to hold that position. So that was the game number 1, and then now we move on to game number 2, save the changes. And this is it's actually a crazy game. I mean, just take a random position here. Topalov is just going at it hammer and tongs. Very exciting, amazing game. And unfortunately, it sort of now gets remembered as being an absolutely shocking blunder rather than it could have been a fantastic win, I guess, by Topalov with the pawn storm. So what we're going to go to is this position here. I mean, that actually there, H5, give up the rook, promote to queen, check. Just amazing position, right? Now, This is where the first enormous blunder happens. It's sort of at this position 0-0 effectively. You can imagine that the only drawing line here is actually perpetual check. So have a look at it. This is actually a very good tactical position to try and have a look at, right? So what we'll look at first is the drawing line which Kramnik should have played, and that was king takes f8. Now, basically, the idea is it's a perpetual check, and black can't do anything about it. First thing is the queen dives in. We're obviously threatening perpetual check right now. So if one line is queen e2, queen h6 check, and that's perpetual check, and the other line is get the bishop out of the way. Well, that makes sense. Let's move a bishop to h4 so that now we've created the escape square on e7 square. Not really a very good escape square. A couple of lines here as well. But let's just say, the bishop to f2 is one line. And now we get a check. Perpetual check this way. King d8 doesn't work because we're going to take that bishop with check and actually win the game. So the king is trapped in there. And the other way of doing it is before, rather than bishop f2, is just grab the bishop. And then now black threatens horrible things. And then we're forced into a perpetual check sequence. So let's get back to this position here. Black should have taken with the king. Right. He took with his bishop. So it goes from 0 to +9 for white, according to Stockfish. So let's see what the problem here is. Now the issue is, have a look at the position, how do you win? Well, a winning line, which actually ended up losing for Topalov, is you come in with check with the queen, block with the bishop, and play f5. This game continuation. This is the best defense, which doesn't look great, does it? f6, forking the bishop and the rook. Counterattack, queen takes g4, rook f7, the fork no longer applies. Move the rook around. It's actually a mistake. Queen h5, and white is still winning. Rook c1, and it peters out to even, and then eventually Topalov lost. But all this is not really relevant, because in this position, a queen g6 check was played, but actually the winning line is just so clearly winning as you take with the rook. Now let's see what happens. A few lines here. I coded them up. Yeah, so it's 3 possible lines. Let's have king f7. What happens there? Check. Mate. Doesn't work. What else can we try? King h8. Doesn't look good. Go to the corner like that. Check. He's basically just throwing stuff in front. Check. Check. Mate. So we go back here. Put the bishop in the way. Maybe the best line. Right. This is probably what Topalov missed. This would be winning for black, except for this move, which is threatening an unstoppable mate there. And basically, play queen c7, see what happens. You do get a check, but just block it. And basically, anyway, to avoid mate, which doesn't really avoid mate anyway, it's just to give up your queen. Right, so it's possible that this side route attack, queen c7, was missed, and just totally winning for white. If you look at this position here, actually, the reason why rook takes g4 check seems stronger is that you're checking, but you're also opening up the g file at the same time, whereas when you checked with the queen, the rook was still a move or two away from getting into the action. Okay, so I hope you see how totally shocking that blunder was by both sides. Topalov ended up losing a game which he could have spectacularly won. It would have been a really attractive game. And then now we can quickly have a look at is where that stacks up on the sort of the blunder listing here. It's this one here. Bishop takes f8. So now we've got 1 6 star and 1 2 3 4 5 6. A nice selection of probably calling 5.5 star blunders as well. Okay, great. So that was the 2 games I was going to look at here. The other thing about this match is it was only a 12-game match, which feels a bit short and unsatisfying. Anyway, next time I'm going to have to get my tournament one working because it was the tournament which Anand won to become world champion. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching.